Welcome back to my channel. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more videos, especially on this truck. I've posted a few already. This is a 1950 Chevrolet 3100 truck. It came into the shop. Actually, I know the guy that owns the truck. I know him personally. And that's him doing a little sweat equity on the truck. This truck's real sentimental to him. It belongs to his father. Well, it belonged to his father. His father passed away and left it to him. This is a truck that he drove when he was a teenager. And, you know, his father drove it when he was a kid. When the owner was a kid, his father would drive him around in it. So it's a very special truck. So we weren't going to do like a full restoration on this truck in the beginning. We were just going to take this donor truck, which is a 2000 Silverado with the 5.3 liter, and just swap out the engine and transmission. But after I got the donor truck, looked at it and said, you know, why not just try to swap out everything that's functional and usable into the 1950 Chevrolet truck? And so that's what we basically did. We used the brake booster and, of course, the brackets and everything for the brake pedals. And most everything, well, not everything from the donor truck, but as much as we could use from the donor truck, we used, including the HVAC unit from the donor truck. So the drivetrain, the original drivetrain was kind of tricky removing it because these vehicles have like torque tubes, and it's just attached to the rear end and it's attached to the output of the transmission. And so I had to call my dad, and he was able to tell me, he and his friend were able to tell me how to, you know, get it off. And so after we got all that taken care of, then it was kind of start moving a little bit faster as far as the engine being installed, or the donor engine being installed, in the AC unit and all this, you know, being able to be fit under the dash. So before we get all that, so at the same time, I just wanted to go ahead and take care of all that rust in there. So started with the floor sheet metal and other sheet metal in the cab, and went ahead and replaced all that. The owner decided to go with the CPP IFS Mustang 2 style front suspension. Coil springs, basically fabricated the engine mounts by using the factory engine mounts. For the rear suspension, I removed the original rear axle and used an S10 rear axle that the owner brought to me, that he had bought off of Craigslist. Used the coilover setup, and then for the exhaust system, went with a Jeep SRT8 factory exhaust system that I had got from a friend that replaced his. To allow that 4L60 transmission to have space underneath, had to do the transmission hump. I had to fabricate a transmission hump for it. Continuing on in the interior, I went ahead and mounted the controls that we had swapped out from the donor, and modified the actual vent there, or the trim, the metal trim, to accept the controls from the donor truck. And the gauge pods, I leaned them back, and you'll see later in this video how I modified that metal dash to make it accept the gauges and the AC vents. As far as the upholstery soft trim inside of the vehicle, the cab, I did it myself. I use a Console 226 sewing machine. I don't do real complicated seat covers, but like a bench seat, it's not a problem. So the seat frame was still in good shape. I had to do a little bit of welding to it, but, you know, repaired it and just went ahead and installed the seat cover. For the wheels on this vehicle, I did a 22 by 12 in the rear, and that took some modification. I had to notch the frame and also do a little mini tub in the rear that I specially made. I have a video on that and a separate video about the actual wheel fitment for this truck. We got it sitting down on the wheels as a roller, as a running roller. It actually runs and drives, but I had tried to get the owner of the truck to keep the original paint, the original patina, because it belonged to his father, and this was the last paint job that was on the truck when his father passed away and left it to him. But something happened to the truck, and I'll tell you about it here a little bit later in this video, that I had to go ahead and do body work to it, and so it required a paint job. And for the metal dash modifications, laid everything back on the same plane, clamped it, welded it, and that's the same for the air conditioning registers, the audio unit, the head unit, and the speedometer gauges, the speedometer and your other instruments like the water, temperature, oil pressure, things like that. Those gauges, I laid them back on the same plane. Had to actually lay those back and actually bring the air conditioning in them doubled in up, but everything's on the same plane. The wiring wasn't that bad for me because I don't mind wiring. I actually went to tech school for it, and so it's not all that bad. I mean, you can see the schematics. They have a lot of schematics online that you can get, a lot of online resources for LS type swaps and things like that. So it's a lot of information out there for you to use. Decided to go with a passive active push button start. It's basically a passive active keyless entry. So you push it to start, you push it to stop. Being that it's a fuel injected engine, that works out very well. And you approach the vehicle with the key in your pocket. You don't have to remove it from your pocket. It'll go ahead and wake the vehicle up and get it ready to start. Went with New Relic's power windows, and it doesn't have power locks. It's just got power windows, so it's those are New Relic. This is the cruise control enable. You press it to enable the cruise control to be able to operate it. This is the set and the accelerate button, and below it's the decelerate. The toggle down is to decelerate, and to disable it, you press the button to disable it, or you can press the brake and it'll cancel it also. Okay, so this is where this project takes a turn for the worse. I was backing this truck out of my bay, and the door popped open, and I didn't notice it because I had my arm over the seat looking back to back it out, and it hit up against another car that was parked out on the lot. It bent the cab, so I had to go about doing the body work. Had to go ahead and take the bed off and start working on the cab corners and all that stuff. The cab corners need to be replaced, and it would have holes all in them. So, I mean, they kind of need to be replaced anyway. So that was kind of a good thing, but bad on my part. And now that I'm knee deep in body work and I've ruined the patina, the customer comes in the shop, and it was Christmas Eve. I was working on Christmas Eve, actually, and asked how long would it take, before I was finished. And I just can't give an answer because now I'm knee deep in this body work, and it takes me a while to paint a vehicle because I'm a one-man shop. So I didn't have a clear answer to give him. And being that I didn't have a clear answer to give him, he demanded that I put the truck, not even put it back together. He demanded that, I just gather the stuff, put it together, it don't have to be complete. He was going to take it to someone else and get it finished. Now, the reason that I think that he might have been upset, because this F-150 that came in, this F-150 Lightning that came in November, I was finished with that truck in 3 months. And he was seeing progress on this truck and not real visible progress on his truck. But the work's getting done, right? This 3100, the Chevrolet, was taking a lot longer because it had a lot more stuff to be done to it. Now, I know a lot of you probably say, well, you're working on Christmas Eve? Well, the reason for that, it was a Friday. My dad had gotten sick, and he was in a nursing home, and I couldn't really visit. It was during COVID, so I really didn't go down there to visit. So I just, wanted to stay and work on the truck. So I knew he wanted his truck back. I had made this huge mistake by damaging the cab, ruining the patina. So that stress was already on me. So I just wanted to do my best to try to get it back together for him. Go ahead and, get the bed completed and just go ahead and get it just back to him, and I was going to have to paint it too out of my pocket. For the panels that I bought from like the aftermarket stores, the sheet metal, I just went ahead and hung them. Those are the black ones. They're just an epoxy primer, and the fitment wasn't the best, but the body man that was going to paint it, he could do the body work on it. Went ahead and did the interior from the headliner all the way down to the carpet. I wasn't able to get this truck out on the road and shake it down and shake all the bugs out of it, but I did go ahead and try to do the best I could on the actual cab part of the body. And, you know, the doors, and, you know, it's just like a vault door. But so the interior, I went ahead and finished the interior. I was able to finish the interior up. But as far as doing good finish work like I would like to do on the vehicle, and that I have done on vehicles, I just didn't do it on this one. He was actually waiting to take the truck while I was fastening the last, you know, screw into the interior. So he picked it up, he drove it off the lot, and he drove it home. And he had to have the rear end done, that rear end that he got off Craigslist. And I think something, can I remember, something happened to the engine where the engine locked up. And I have a video on that too. And it came back to the shop. We got a short block from Jegs, and I swapped the engine, the new engine, into it, and it's been running fine ever since. This is the pictures of the final paint work that it was done at another shop. I baked the cake, and someone else put the icing on it. And it's very nice icing though, and it turned out really nice. If you see this guy out, show him some love. Body work, and it's not the easiest work in the world, so just give me a little bit of love. I appreciate it. This Chevelle, this 64, is coming out of the shop next. That's the next project coming out of the shop. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and so you can get the videos that are coming out on this car and the other videos that I publish. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and share it with someone you think that may be interested in this type of work. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.